Hey everybody, Peepo here, and today's video is going to be about this nice fresh white head known as the Adidas D-Monic. If you guys D-Monic. So obviously it is a very wide head. So we already know just by the name and appearance is what it should be uh, catered towards for uh, use, and that is dipole or LSM. Now, just really just getting right to the facts is wide head, wide scoop, wide everything. It looks really beefy. Honestly, it's probably one of the beefier heads that I've come across over the years. Another comparatively wide, beefy head that comes to mind when I see this is the STX Hammer. Um, Honestly, I kind of I don't know. It has subtle similarities and so on, but um, getting into the throat right off the bat, it's a very beefed up throat, just like most of the Adidas heads have a very beefed up throat where a lot of the weight is closer to your hands, so that the weight's not all up here, so it's a decent balance. But remember, this is for a D pole, so it doesn't really matter in that sense. But kind of going right into the throat as far as details go, um, for the actual bottom here, you don't see this too often with a lot of heads where there's actually struts going into where the stringing holes are for the bottom, so that that area right there isn't just a lip that's holding onto it. So it kind of gives you a little bit of a reassurance with your bottom string so that the pressure of the ball coming into the head doesn't pull the bottom string and break your plastic at the bottom. Now, the sides of this throat are very open, but it's a very deep opening. So like I said earlier, it's beefy, but it's very well cut out so that there's not as much weight there, but there's also a lot of strength. They didn't really go to too thin of an area in the throat. Still, again, a decent amount of cutouts while still being large. Um, Moving up into your actual side walls, your actual design of the side walls, that is, there's struts kind of everywhere. You kind of got what appears to be the Adidas logo almost there, another zigzag, and then another one up top. Now, as far as the strength of the sides, it is, again, using the word beefy, it is very stiff horizontally. Like, you got to really push. I mean, any head's eventually going to wear out and become very flimsy over time. Most heads take longer than others, so on and so forth. But I feel this one will last a pretty decent amount of time as far as the sidewalls are concerned. Your sidewall holes, again, just kind of like the Boss head from Adidas, it kind of has these weird shaped holes, but they kind of force the knots forward, I guess you could say, or up the head. They are kind of rectangular in shape, so you can definitely fit two, maybe even if you really want to, three loops of string in there, like I did two here. Um, Honestly, this could probably stand up to have like really thick paracord easily go through all the holes. So not a problem as far as getting the patterns that you want, but you have to be careful with what knots you use, because if you try and use a knot that you kind of tighten and it goes to the bottom of the hole, eventually that knot's going to shift up and then the pocket's going to kind of be weird. Um, but all your holes are pretty decent size. They made the holes a little bigger at the top. Honestly, with how big the regular holes are, I would have just left the top ones the same size. There's not a necessity to have a bigger hole than what they are down here, up here. Although the top three are well spaced, decent size, not too big to where all the strings will pop through, but I would suggest doing like a double wrap up top in order to prevent your tie off from popping through. When it comes to the top holes, they're decently spaced. I feel that they're a very even spacing to where if you wanted to do a 9 diamond or a 10 diamond top, it again would be well spaced and more or less perfect. The actual back of the scoop has a little bit of a protection process going on for the strings, although not dramatic in any sense of the word, and so it's probably just gonna keep things a little more streamlined rather than protect the strings. Now when it comes to actually stringing, because of how wide the angle is for this pinch, it's almost completely straight, which a lot of people want a wide head, but I feel it's just a little too wide. I feel it's more like a kind of like like a hammer, to where you might as well just pinch it in just a little bit. For that stringing though, because of how wide it is, you're gonna pretty much end up tightening down 1, 2, 3. Sometimes, depending on the type of stringer you are, you might end up doing 4 tie downs just to get a nice channel. But if you can tighten it down for the first 2 or 3 rows without causing any considerable damage to yourself or stretching the mesh just a ridiculous amount, you can get a decent channel to where it will perform well enough and have a nice tight outer area for the pocket to just kind of funnel out of it nicely. It's not too long of a head. The most heads out there will be just a little bit longer than others. It only, again, like the other Adidas heads, it only has 1 screw hole, which is kind of low, and I feel it's somewhat in a bad spot because it's so low. There's not a whole lot of plastic between the actual hole and the bottom of it. So the other ones, it worked out because there was a thick amount of plastic, but I feel if you're gonna put this hole so close, you needed to have the plastic go to about maybe another 1/4 inch lower on the backside, just to protect the plastic there so that it doesn't break when you do a check, because that little bit of plastic is what's protecting the head from flying off the shaft. So overall, a very clean, not overly decorated head is the Adidas D-Monic. I have noticed that I kind of like the ball stops. They're a little beefy. I've been using that word a lot in this video. Oh well. But so ball stops are a decent size. They're pretty well thick and they're pretty sticky to the plastic. So all around, for their first D head coming back into the lacrosse world, I feel it's a decent one. Earlier I was talking about your horizontal strength. Another sort of drawback is that the scoop up here, from here all the way across the scoop, it's a little bit on the flimsy side, so it's probably gonna spay out like that. Although it is still very stiff, so I don't feel it's gonna happen too easily. It's a little bit on the heavy side as far as the head is concerned, but if you have a good shaft, it's not going to matter. Plus, your D-pull, man up. But overall, I think Adidas did a good job, again, with this third and final head that I'm doing a review of, which is the D-Monic, spelled D-Monic. So, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you got a little bit of information out of this. And if you have the chance at LaxCon or anywhere else to check out some Adidas gear, I would definitely suggest it. They're gonna try, and I think if they keep on the track that they're going just off of the first couple heads that they've had, I feel they might be on the right track to give all these long-standing companies a run for their money. So good luck to Adidas, and good luck to you guys checking out all this stuff out there. Talk to you later.